Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Halftime Oranges. Now, today we're going to do the roundup of all the games from last weekend, plus all the big transfer news that have occurred over this transfer window, this amazing transfer window. So we're going to take you all the way back now to Saturday, Manchester City and Arsenal, Stefan.
Yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago now, the early kickoff. But City lined up with the front three of Grealish on the left, Gabriel Jesus on the right, where he prefers to play, as we said, and then Torres through the middle. And there was a lot of positives here for City, namely the 5 goals, of course. But Grealish looks very comfortable on that left-hand side now. That seems to be his position. A very different role he's going to play there. But another assist for him and Jesus on the right. They've got a nice balance there. And Torres even looks quite clinical, actually, in that striker role, even though you wouldn't necessarily define him as a striker. He seems to have done quite well there in the last couple of games. So their aggregate score in the last couple of games is 10-0. On the flip side, there will be tougher opposition than Arsenal. Definitely. Now, Arsenal were great for about 5 minutes. They did everything Arteta asked, I think. And they set up with 5 at the back. So at least he was showing a little bit of self-awareness there and reacting maybe to the opposition in front of him. But he went with a back 3 in terms of the centre-backs with Kolasinac, Chambers and Holding. And they just didn't have the quality, and City were 2 up within a short space of time. And at that point, you'd expect your leaders, your one leader on the pitch, Xhaka, to show a bit of leadership, and he goes and gets himself sent off, which sums up Arsenal's first few weeks. And then City just run out comfortable 5-0 winners. And there is a lot of pressure now on Mikel Arteta. And I don't know if it's tongue-in-cheek, this talk of Conte coming in, or even Big Sam, or if they're actually in a relegation battle. The voices are dissenting now. But I think I can sympathise a little bit with Mikel Arteta because he has had the perfect storm, right? We talked about Brentford on the opening day, newly promoted club. Then he plays the European champions in Chelsea, and then he has Man City away. So the season really does start for them after the international break. And you'd expect him to have a completely different back 5. I don't know whether he's going to keep Leno and go with Ramsdale in the goal, but you'd expect him next time out.
That, definitely.
Maybe, yeah. He does look very weak in that goal, and they've spent a lot of money on this keeper.
Well, I mean...
Should they have sold Martinez?
Never, definitely not.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
In hindsight, but I think the board at Arsenal were kind of like thinking, 25 million for our sub-keeper, we'll take that. I don't think there's ever been a club that spent this much money, and then just the fans are just in total apathy at the situation. It just beggars belief, to be honest. Everyone's calling for Arteta's head. Richard Garlick, the new director of football, he should be in the firing line as well, to be perfectly honest, and several members of the board.
And Edu as well.
Let's not forget, Arsenal charged the most expensive season tickets of any football club in the Premier League. It's an absolute fortune to go and see them. So well done on, having the biggest spend out of anybody in the Premier League. But your fans are just totally underwhelmed by the signings that you've brought in, with possibly the exception of Odegaard. Arteta's basically got the next 2 to 4 games to save his job. Otherwise, he'll go, and other people should be made to walk the plank with him. In my opinion, it was an absolute pathetic display against Manchester City, and there's not a single Arsenal fan, I think, that would disagree that the club is just horrifically run since Arsene Wenger left. You look at how well the club was run on a financial basis as well, especially moving into the new stadium, how the bank would give them further funds on the basis that Wenger was staying, which meant Champions League was likely to continue. I mean, it was time for Wenger to go, potentially, but are Arsenal fans sort of in danger of becoming as spoilt as Newcastle and West Ham?
Every week on Newcastle.
I know, seriously, Clive. You're never going to be welcome there.
Let's be quite frank. That display against Manchester City was a relegation battle display.
Yeah.
And I don't think Conte would fancy that. I think you've got more chance of Big Sam coming in. Perfectly honest with you. Well, and as we've experienced this week in football, stranger things have happened.
Yeah. When the game started and I saw that back 5, I saw the formation. I shouldn't actually say the players, but when I saw that 5, I thought, like you said, Stefan, I thought, okay, That's a little bit of aptitude there, going away and playing with a back five and maybe trying to counter what City do. At least like a little bit like the way Spurs played in the first game. But yeah, like you said, the quality of the players, like Callum Chambers and who's the other boy at centre back? Not Kolasinac.
Holding,
yeah. Them two, I think they would struggle to get in any Premier League side. And I'm talking about Norwich as well in that. So I'm going all the way down to the bottom of the league.
Newcastle?
I don't think they would. I don't think they would get in any Premier League side. I really don't. They're terrible. They really, they're poor. And you look at the players that Arteta has brought in. Now, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I don't understand the concept." It's pretty easy. He's bringing in young players, right?
English as well, right?
English if he can, yeah. With the exception
do you think
he's
even got a say? I'm beginning to wonder if he has much of a say.
That's a good question. I would hope so. He spent a lot of money, or someone spent a lot of money. It's not in. Out of any club, Arsenal spent the most. So it's difficult for fans to now blame the board. Do you not think, based on the fact they have actually spent the most and they brought in players? But you look at the play. The thing is, right? You look at the play and you think, oh, if they had like really good senior professionals around them,
leaders,
leaders, that would be a great base for Arsenal now to progress. But they're in a situation now where they need to buy some leaders. They need to get some Premier League experience in.
Well, they've already spent a lot, and they've
I know. I'm saying I don't think they've spent wrong. They've spent like a mid-table side trying to get into the top 6 in a couple of years instead of a side that's now
doing
battling relegation.
Crystal Palace are doing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Crystal
getting
Palace.
getting a point at West Ham. Predicted. I mean, in fairness to Arsenal, I mean, injuries, sickness, hasn't helped. I mean, Kolasinac is out, Pepe's out, Nikita's out, Partey's out, White's still recovering from COVID. Granit Xhaka has now got COVID and is being currently assessed. So I think it's only fair for Arteta to be assessed when he does have some of these players, because the Lacazette and Aubameyang are just, I really don't think they are 100% fit. Let's not forget Aubameyang also recently got over malaria. We do expect some of these players to be machines, and they're not. And it's a tough one because they've spent now, and I just think their recruitment policy is to be seriously questioned. And it's not out of the question that they would get relegated. It's happened to Leeds United.
No, I don't think so. I don't think
never too big to go down. Yeah,
never too big to go down. And the fact that they were even entertaining selling Aubameyang just speaks volumes for the direction of how that club is run at the moment.
But they're so far into this. They're balls deep in this transfer policy of. So now they can't really sack Arteta, right, and change direction almost because they backed him so much. And I think they're in that position.
They definitely can.
They will. Maybe they will.
Yeah.
But they're in this position.
You would probably end up with the Romford Pele taking over at Arsenal.
There's talk of Parler coming to.
No, there's not. Right. It would be the kind of bizarre signing
that probably get the team right now
that would end up at Arsenal. The fans will turn if they lose against Norwich.
Just heard what you said there, Stefan. So.
Sorry.
I just heard Stefan say that Parler would get into the current Arsenal team. It made me
probably would. Probably would. The fans will turn if they lose against Norwich. It's that simple. And Norwich are no better than them. This is, let's break no bones. As it stands at the moment, stating the obvious, it's a 6-pointer. And if Arsenal lose it,
it's horrible to hear that, isn't it, for Arsenal fans?
It's funny for us.
Relegation dogfight.
You were talking about any other club. You were talking about any other club down there. Everyone will be saying, "Oh, is it too early to call this a 6-pointer?" No, because it is. Because these teams, unless there's a serious change and improvement at Arsenal, they will be finishing bottom 5, bottom 6 this season.
They're in that position where
they might not go down. But then we all said this about Leeds United many years ago. So
they spent a lot of money as well.
They did.
I think Norwich will be looking at this though, right? And thinking all the small teams, when they see Arsenal come to town, thinking there's points here. They've still got that status as a big club. So it's a scalp.
Let's go 4-4-2, they'll be saying.
Exactly. Let's throw the ball in the box. Exactly. Get a long throw in there.
Yeah, so Arsenal have got Norwich at home. And then they've got Burnley away. That's not easy.
Well, Burnley have put the ball in the box. Chris Wood to bully Ben White, you'd imagine.
But what you just said about teams saying it's Arsenal, we've got a chance here.
Lads, it's Arsenal. They're the
seriously,
new Tottenham.
Well, that's what will be happening at Burnley on September 18. they'll be excited to play Arsenal.
And
I would like to think Arteta's got 4 games to save his job. It could well be 2.
I think Spurs is the game after that as well.
There is very little. Yes, it is Spurs.
Yes, it is,
after that. There is very little you can do with this side as it is now, and just the general feeling in the camp when you have a player of Maitland-Niles going on Instagram playing a social media version of the violin. I mean, doesn't particularly bode well for the spirit in the camp. It's just like says to me the players have no confidence in the direction that Arteta is trying to get them to play in.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, his hands have been tied, but I mean, Maitland-Niles is a decent player. He's good enough to go on loan to West Brom. Not good enough to get in the Arsenal team. Everton came in for a bit of taking him on loan with a buy-on, which was deemed too low by the Arsenal board. Yet they're very willing.
Was it a 2-year loan as well?
It was, it was a 2-year loan with an option to a definite option to buy, but the option to buy was deemed too low. Yet they're very happy to let Joe Willock go for £20 million. It makes no sense. I mean, nobody knows what the option to buy price was, but you either play him in the current climate or you let him go, because having a player that's unhappy in this current climate is toxic in the dressing room as well, which is probably not a happy place to be already.
Well, they have made a signing, haven't they, this week? And it's probably the one signing they need, because I think the one area that Arsenal looked weak at was right back with Hector Bellerin. So he's gone out to Betis, and coming the other way, Tommy Yasu, I believe, Japanese right back.
That's
so
right.
Yeah, from Bologna. Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of their back five, that's going to be completely different. So, as you say, it's a real 6-pointer up next at Norwich. And if they don't get that result, the pressure is going to mount on Arteta.
I don't know much about this Tommy Yasu. I've looked into him. He's had 23 caps with Japan, 1 goal. Seems quite tall as well. But
tall, right?
Yeah. The thing is about like players that were at Bologna, I would have thought that if he was of a quality, AC Milan, Inter Milan, Juventus, Roma, Fiorentina, Napoli would have all come in for him. I don't think they have at all.
We said Arsenal can't attract the big players anymore, right? So they have to sort of go on these gambles and these hunches. But they have a problem at right back, so maybe that might turn out to be a good sign.
They have a problem all over the park, mate. Yeah, but on the other hand, City, even though they started pretty poorly away at Spurs.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's what they played Arsenal and Norwich. It's hard to judge them, isn't it?
It is,
on those two performances. And I do worry about they scored enough goals to win the league last year by playing Aguero off the bench, but they didn't sign Kane. And then obviously we'll come on to Ronaldo, I guess, but they didn't go in for anyone else.
Not a crescendo of signings coming in at Man City, though, as we did sort of expect, right? I mean, they've only signed Jack Grealish and Scott Carson. And that's it.
Who's the biggest signing out of them two, do you think?
Tell you what, you want to see the players they've let go. It's a whole squad nearly, the most of which is Aguero, Garcia. They're the two. Obviously, Jack Harrison.
Here's a question for
Leeds.
you. If they knew now what they know now, would they have kept Aguero?
No, too injury prone. He's already out for 10 weeks at Barcelona. And I think that
you still don't think they would have kept him?
No, they can't.
Wow, really?
His legs have gone.
I think they would have definitely kept him.
He's a great player when fit, but his legs have gone. He's out for 10 weeks already at Barcelona before he's even kicked the ball. So
probably would have thought about another striking option.
They've got Torres. And let's not forget they've got Sterling. They've got options up front.
Doesn't seem to be too keen on Sterling, does he, Pep?
No, because he's not signing a new contract, and I think they're kind of like got a bit of a game of sort of Russian roulette. Who blinks first in that respect? Either sign it and we'll play you, or don't sign it. I won't play you. I think Pep wants people to be committed to the cause at Man City.
Oh, is he? Wasn't there a rumor that he's leaving in 2 years?
He has reiterated now that he never said that. So
on the same day they didn't get Kane. I just wonder whether that was a bit of a petulant move.
Was it on the same day that Mendy got arrested as well?
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah.
No. Really? You want to move on? We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. If this was any other player, or not during the transfer window, this would be front page news. But it seems to be getting shuffled.
There are other players. He has been remanded in custody until the trial. There was a pre-trial hearing yesterday. and he's been remanded in custody until the trial date, which is yet to be set. One thing that I found a bit disturbing with all of this,
the whole case, you mean?
Well, the whole case, but there's also cases. The certain newspaper media decided it was appropriate to start running the Der Spiegel case against Ronaldo, which broke about his allegedly rape allegations, which is just, I mean, welcome back to England. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just bizarre that he has to put up, that any player has to put up with this if charges aren't brought. What is slightly disturbing with the Mendy case, is that this has been going on since about October, November last year.
Yeah.
There's been allegations before, and Man City have known about it, continued to play. I mean, I suppose you've got to go with the fact that you're innocent until proven guilty. The same goes for other Premier League players who are also in this boat. The Icelandic FA also have been brought into disrepute for covering up and allegedly sexual assault by Gida Onasdorti at a nightclub in September 2017. The Gudni Bergsons had to step down as the Icelandic FA, with UEFA, FIFA, and the Premier League heavily trying to push the Women's Super League at the moment. These are stories that don't help that, and that is something that has to be stamped out quickly. But this whole trial by social media, I think, also needs to, well, you can't stop it, but it needs to be taken into a pinch of salt. And because Mendy's career at Man City is now ruined if he's found not guilty. There's other Premier League players that we know of whose careers are also ruined now. And interestingly, in this Honest Doctor case for Iceland, he actually met the lady in question and paid her off. And it wasn't until Bergson denied that anything had happened that she decided to go public on it. So, very unfortunate incident for anyone to have to experience. But the Premier League perhaps need to bring in some protocols and processes, to make sure that the ethics within the game remain true.
Hear, hear.
Well said.
Well said, Clive. All right, then, shall we move on?
Yeah.
The next game, Clive.
Is it Aston Villa Brentford?
Indeed, it is. Yeah.
I mean, Watkins was injured again. I'm really looking forward to seeing this Watkins-Ings partnership, and we haven't been able to because he's been injured. Buendia stepped up and got his first goal for Villa. I mean, the business that they've done in this transfer window, I think, has been superb. I mean, Brentford also, they've also done relatively well. I mean, we had a little bit of a George Best incident, didn't we? When I think it was Janssen tried to kick the ball. When the keeper chucks the ball up in the air, and he just decided to have a cheeky one and ran away in front of the whole end, thinking he was the bee's knees. But unfortunately, he.
Why does that happen? Why do players do that? They'll score and then they'll turn around like, I didn't do anything wrong. Do they generally not know the rules of the game?
The laws of the game is the ball is still in the possession of the goalkeeper. I mean, it's a bizarre one, isn't it? It's like the drop ball thing as well, which
players
now
know
has
that,
been
don't
changed.
They? Players generally know that.
I mean, it just petered out into a 1-1 draw, really. And Brentford's business has been relatively decent. I mean, to sign Onyeka from the Danish club, Midtjylland, Aya from Celtic, putting
Great
him
signing
alongside Janssen, what a pair of centre-backs they've got. And they've signed a lad from Huesca on loan, Fernandez. So they've strengthened, and they've got decent quality as well in Mbeumo, and mentioned Janssen and Tony, and Raya is a decent keeper as well. And Aston Villa, I think, we sort of know how well that they've added since Grealish's departure. I mean, Ashley Young's come back. Leon Bailey, we've still not got to see the best of him. Tuanzebe for United, amongst a few others. And you can't argue with either club's transfer business there, to be honest with you. And I don't think either of Villa might push top 6. Brentford, I'd say, will finish above Arsenal.
Do you think Villa fans will be a little bit disappointed with the performance so far? I mean, it's a win, loss, and a draw, correct?
But they've changed it. I mean, they've lost their best player, haven't they?
True. But they brought in, like Clive said, they brought in 3 or 4 players of quality.
But it takes a while, doesn't it, for these players to gel?
It'll take a while for them to gel.
Against Brentford at home?
Well,
anyway.
the problem that they've got, Villa, is Martinez and Buendia have gone to Argentina. They'll be playing in the World Cup qualifiers. They will then, of course, have to undergo quarantine on the way back. So that means that Villa will be missing a key couple of players for the visit of Chelsea away, not to mention for the home game against Everton. And this is just something that hasn't been dealt with at all by FIFA, by the Premier League. Premier League have basically decided that they're their own official Super League, and they can issue statements on behalf of their members saying that we categorically deny any player to attend his international commitments, despite the fact that it's clearly in the rules. So FIFA have come out today following complaints from Mexico, Venezuela, Colombia, to name but a few, and Jimenez will be banned, Almiron will be banned, and it does beg the question: what is going to happen to the likes of Antonio? Rafinha will be banned for the next game week. Antonio's been given permission to play against Panama for the Jamaican home game, but he's not allowed.
Cavani's been banned.
But Cavani, they agreed with the Uruguayan FA to release Cavani.
Oh,
so
they
Cavani
did?
won't be banned. Cavani won't be banned, and it's down to a fitness issue as well. This is going to be a problem during October and November, and it's not been addressed at all.
Seems absolutely. It sounds. Sorry to interrupt. It seems ludicrous that these internationals right now. Surely they can be played at a later date.
Well, I mean, sorry, Steph. I mean, they could. The South America are playing in empty stadiums. Why on earth they can't sort of come to some arrangement to play the games in America? Speaking of which, now in the next qualifying period in October, every Jamaican squad player to play in the game against the USA has to have been fully vaccinated, or they will not be issuing visas to the players. So this is just becoming completely political. Yeah. Obviously, FIFA and La Liga and Ligue 1 and all the European leagues are in a very difficult position. This does bring into call, why don't you eventually push all the qualifiers to a particular point where they're played over a 6-week period and then we're done. This could be done. This could have been done back end of November, December. It could even be done as late as February, March. The World Cup's not until November 2022. You could even had a little mini playoff during the summer, but I imagine players will be desperate for a summer off after recent events. There's been options on the table that no one's decided to deal with, and everyone thinking they're above each other and no collaboration when football really needs it. So, and the teams that are going to miss out are going to be the teams that are your underdogs that could actually make a World Cup.
Yeah, it's not fair, is it? Yeah.
Fair. No. So yeah, that's a problem. It's a problem for Villa and a problem for other clubs as well.
But I think as Premier League football fans, we all sort of begrudge this international breaks. It feels like the football gets up and running, and in week 3 you have to take 10 days out.
Well, I tell you what, the game against Portugal and Ireland last night was absolutely spectacular. I mean, I don't like waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning at the best of times, but with 20 minutes to go and I saw Ireland winning, I put that on. Wow. I mean, cometh the hour, cometh the man, literally. So
record breaker, right?
Yeah, we should sign him.
Yeah, there we go. There we go, yeah. So I enjoy the international break. It gives my head a rest from fantasy football, at least.
How are you getting on?
Good 2 weeks, appalling 3rd week because I dropped Antonio and I thought I'd be clever and bring in Lukaku, thinking Antonio is going to get banned. So let's see.
Long game, yeah.
Long game, going for the long game, absolutely.
All right, we'll move on now to Newcastle versus Southampton. Now in this game, Southampton, they played really, really well in the first half. They were knocking on the door. They were pushing Newcastle back. They had them pinned back a few times during that first half. But it was Newcastle who scored first in the second half. Not very much happened in the first half, to be honest. One thing that did happen was Djenepo missed an absolute sitter. Maybe missed one of the goals that should have been of the season. And then he missed another one. He missed 2 in one half. So, yeah, it was 0-0 as we went into the first half. And then second half, Newcastle came out. and got a goal. Who was it that scored?
St. Max? No, not St. Max. It was Callum Wilson.
Callum
Wilson scored. Yeah,
Callum Wilson got
Callum
the first for
by.
Newcastle with a fantastic diving header, and now his hamstring's gone, so he'll probably be missing for the next,
he came off,
game.
didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Southampton equalised, and then chaos at the end. Absolute chaos. 90th minute. St. Maximum scored. Celebrated with the fans. Southampton went up the pitch, and Lascelles.
96th minute.
Yeah, fouled Armstrong, didn't he? And Southampton managed to bag an equaliser.
Which then was a cue for Newcastle fans to roundly turn on Steve Bruce, which is a bit harsh, really.
For me, it feels like about the last 20 years, Steve Bruce has been under pressure, whether it's at Sunderland, Wigan, he's always under pressure, yeah.
Fans don't take to him, do they, for some reason? I feel like one spell at Birmingham where they seem to adore him. And everywhere else
relatively
has been
fresh then, wasn't he? Quite revolutionary, Bruce. But
Crystal Palace were quite fond of him, but this was before his Mrs. Doubtfire kind of stage, wasn't it? Really. So I mean, I think age hasn't done Steve Bruce any favors, and but who else?
Are you saying? Wait a minute. Are you saying that because he's fat? And he's great, and he looks like an old woman. The fans are turning against him.
I haven't really got a problem with Steve Bruce. I've got a problem with
Newcastle fans.
I do have a slight problem with Newcastle fans who are way above their station than they need to be. It's just every time I look at Steve Bruce, he just reminds me of Mr. Potato Head. I can't get it out of my head every time I see him. And it's like they've had an absolute bizarre selection of managers at times of Newcastle. They've gone from the sublime to the ridiculous.
Yeah.
Steve Bruce from a club that has the aspirations of literally finishing fourth from bottom every season, and the owners will be happy. Probably want to sort of get their expectations in check, because
I do agree with that to some point. I really do. They do have higher expectations than the club is capable of, right? With that owner.
I mean, would you trust?
Sorry, Newcastle fans.
The name of the Sheffield Wednesday manager? Moore, is it? Let's say Darren Moore. Let's say they sack Bruce, right? Who are they going to get? They're not going to get anyone from a Premier League club.
They were saying, all right. So if we're on Twitter, by the way, Halftime Oranges. So some Newcastle fans were saying like we should oust Bruce. I put the question to him: who should you bring in? And not one of them answered. Not one answer.
Chris Wilder would probably be a decent one, but I mean, he's already got the job at West Brom, is it? Is Chris Wilder at West Brom now?
I'm not sure where he is, to be honest.
He is. I think he is. I might stand corrected there, but they're going to get a Championship manager or an absolute unknown foreigner who Mike Ashley knows will just be a yes man. And
how did he get Benitez though?
Money. Probably that Mike Ashley was happy to throw at him. I mean, he pays his managers very, very well, because then to a certain extent, he knows that they might not upset the apple cart as much as others would. I mean, Benitez fell in love with the history of Newcastle and the fans and the city. They're very passionate fans, similar to Liverpool. But at the end of it all, I mean, he was just totally, frustrated by his lack of support from the owners. And
we had no money, did it? They said there was no money available, and then they brought in Bruce, and then it started raining tenants.
Then you sign players like Joel Linton. I mean, it's just,
I
mean, Bruce is doing as good a job with those players pretty much as Benitez was.
We had a good season last year, really. Never really in danger of going down near the end.
I think one thing that might save Bruce is if they actually managed to put a cup run together, because they've been absolutely shocking.
They're out of one already.
Oh, exactly. I mean, but then at what risk? At the risk of Maximan getting injured again, Wilson's cheese hamstrings going, or other players just capitulating with injury.
I was just having a look. Chris Wilder's not got a club at the moment, mate. And
well, I mean,
Valérien Ismail is the manager of West Bromwich Albion.
Stand corrected, but Wilder might be an option for them. But I mean,
No,
but he didn't put up with the horse shite that was going on from the owners at Sheffield United.
Yeah, it's a bit of a
stand. And walked. Can you actually imagine Wilder? I mean, I wouldn't want to sit in a room with Wilder and sort of disagree with it. I think he'd just bite your head off. But
so,
I mean,
so what you're saying is they couldn't get him anyway because he wouldn't stand the nonsense.
God, when you're appointing Dennis Bloody Wise as your director of football, I mean, it just speaks volumes
that's crazy.
of the logic that's going on in that club. I mean, it's poorly run, and Steve Bruce is putting out fires all the time, and he's doing a decent enough job. And Newcastle fans want to be careful what they wish for.
Yeah, looking at the Newcastle starting 11 though, right? Like they've got Fernandes, Lascelles, and Shah at the back. They've got obviously Wilson, who's going to be in and out now, it seems. St. Maximan, Almiron. They've got enough to stay up, right? He's actually he's got a good starting 11, would you not say?
But it's more a case of looking behind you and saying there's three worse with Newcastle, isn't it? As opposed to they're going to kick on and get away from the relegation fight. If you like, they've got problems in defence.
We just said that that's not really an option for them anyway. What is kicking on for Newcastle? Top 10?
Cup run, out of the League Cup already, mid-table, no danger of relegation. That's a good season, is it not?
I think probably a great season, isn't it?
I mean, there is outside possibilities of finishing 7th and getting Europe, right?
No chance.
They're not going to finish 7th.
No Newcastle fan surely believes that could happen, though, do they? Do they genuinely believe that that's possible?
They want to play football the Newcastle way. I have no idea what that means. I mean, when football,
the entertainers, isn't it?
Well, yeah, those
get
days
Keegan back.
Those days are long gone. Those days are long gone. And yeah, they've only signed Joe Willock really in the transfer window. And
those Keegan's first stint, right? He left in what, 97? Was it?
He quit in the after
around 97.
So sure, there's a hell of a lot of Newcastle fans now who don't even remember the first stint that Kevin Keegan had. I mean, where this the entertainer sort of aspirations came from. That's all out.
They had a good period under Pardew, didn't they? Do you remember? Where they finished sort of 6th, 7th, I think. But they never took to him. They wanted him.
Well, has anyone ever took to Alan Pardew? He's just an absolute cad of a manager. I mean, if he's not shagging players' wives, then he's going around eating other people's dinner.
I heard that rumor.
Which is worse?
I don't know, probably doing both at the same time. You look at the signings. I mean, it just reminds me of the list of actors from a Rocky Horror Show. I mean, Charlie Wiggett from Chelsea, Remy Savage from Liverpool, Cameron Ferguson from Tranmere, and Santiago Munez from Santos Laguna. I think that's possibly where I might be going on holiday in Greece. I'm not sure, but that's what Steve Bruce is up against, with the exception of Joe Willock.
Yeah,
and Newcastle fans want to piss on the coal that's keeping the fire burning. Go ahead, you won't be missed. But I mean, they've got a manager there that will keep them up as it stands.
Now Southampton, I think you both. Am I right in thinking you both picked them to get relegated this season? When we did the any changes in the way you think about that now, or
they might do other teams looking worse? Maybe. I think that signing that left back, that's a real coup, isn't it?
Livramento,
yeah. And then it looks like that partnership up front between Adams and Armstrong might be quite fruitful. And if you've got a goal scorer, then you've always got a chance. So at the moment, I'll probably change that prediction, to be honest, but they won't be far away from the drop.
Sure.
They kept Ward-Prowse, which is a massive thing, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, I'm surprised about that. I said that, didn't I, in one of the previous podcasts? I think James Ward-Prowse's future might be in danger. Then the next day he goes and signs the contract. So, no, fair play, though, for doing that. Well done to him. But yeah, I feel like El Yanassi and, like you just said, Livramento, they're a little bit weak at centre back. Question marks over Salisu and who's the other boy that they have? Not Stuart Armstrong. What's he called? Not Bednarak. Bednarak, right?
Bednarak, yeah.
Yeah. Question marks about that defense, but I think they'll be fine. I really do. They played really well. They should have won against Newcastle. Like based on that
15 shots in the first half, didn't they?
First half performance, yeah. They have lost their last 6 away games, so this was to stop the rot in that 96-minute penalty. Did that. But yeah, I think they do okay. I think they're fine.
And they showed enough last week against Man United as well, didn't they, to show that they might get more points than we thought.
Yeah, Hassan Hüttl tactically looks more astute than someone like Arteta, maybe, if I'm being honest.
Got an absolutely dreadful sense of waistcoats, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, rogue snooker players.
Absolutely appalling. Yeah, I mean, crikey.
You're more of a Southgate man, aren't you, Clive?
I am more of a Southgate fan,
Yeah.
but he'd gone a bit, what was it, kind of windbreaker, didn't he, during the Euros against Croatia? I wasn't really happy about that, to be perfectly honest. But there
You
we
wrote a
go.
letter to the FA.
I might do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you should. All right, well, moving on now. Norwich, Leicester, Clive.
Okay. It wasn't our finest performance by any stretch of the imagination, and I don't particularly see how top four is going to happen this season after the rest of the Premier League have strengthened. I mean, I just touching on the game briefly, I do struggle with how Rodgers is leaving out our top scorer in that show. I can only assume, and this is only an assumption, that Ian Atshow's decided to just have 3 months of getting properly on it after winning the FA Cup. And why would I mean, he looked like he was gonna get booted out after I just remember in January we played Leeds at home last season, and he just had an absolute mare. He just like put it over the bar from about 8 yards out. He couldn't hit the cow with a banjo. I mean, it was just it was poor. And then he went away to Fulham and got a goal in the 2-1 win, and he kind of just kicked on from there. Really. That goal against Burnley he scored just over his head and just volleyed it into the corner. I mean, brilliant. And he got on for there, scored our winning goal against Southampton in the FA Cup semi-final and put in a shift in the final. Has he come back from pre-season and just simply not been conditioned? Rodgers loves Harvey Barnes. Harvey Barnes has been crap. I hate to say it. I love Harvey Barnes. I think he's brilliant. Up until his injury last season, he was matching or just ahead of Leroy Sané in the Bundesliga for goals and assists. And I said to my mates at the start of the season, you watch this kid go. And I was gutted he got that injury, and he's not quite as dynamic. He's just lost a little bit of that spark. I'm sure it'll come good, but he's not playing well enough. And Vardy often is isolated up on his own, and Ian Atcho needs really his chance against Man City, to be perfectly honest. I think that's a change that needs to happen in the next game. Patson Daka, and Rodgers talks a lot about when we had that Turkish lad, forget his name. He's now joined Lazio. I think he scored as well for Turkey against Montenegro last night. He talks a lot about players coming in and they're not conditioned for the Premier League. Now, when I say conditioned, I don't sort of mean in terms of fitness. They're lacking fitness. They're lacking maybe muscle, And I think that is the case with Patson Daka. I mean, he's lightning fast. There's no doubt about that. He's probably lacking that physique that you need, because he's going to get battered from pillar to post against certain clubs. And I think there is a worry with the amount of money they've paid for him that they chuck him in too soon, and that happens. He's injured, and then you're on a downward spiral. You look back at what Ranieri did, Kante, you didn't really see him as a solid place in the side until around the back end of September, when we drew 2-2 with Southampton that season, because I think Ranieri also saw that certain players that come from Europe, they're not conditioned yet for the Premier League, and the muscle mass and the sports science obviously looks at that. We're absolutely buggered in defence. There's no other way of putting it. Like, Vestergaard's knackered his knee. I don't think it's serious. Pierre has done his hamstring. Bertrand's still getting over it. Johnny Evans has got a really poor heel injury that can flare up at any time, and I don't think there's really much of an operation that they can do with that. Sionchu's turned into the Turkish Puyol from hell, basically. I mean, he's not looked great. He's a little bit sporadic, because he did improve as the half went on, and I just don't think I think it's that partnership doesn't really help.
He gave away the penalty, correct?
Yeah, he gave away the penalty.
Yeah.
He did a lot of things wrong, but I just think he's not getting that. He's not got that guidance which Johnny Evans can give him, or they're on the same wave. But I mean, Wesley Fofana, when he comes back, he's probably one of the quickest centre-backs in that league. I'm telling you now, he's lightning, that kid. And he's only like 20 years old, and I hope he gets over that injury quick, because Leicester are going to miss him big time. Norwich, huffed and puffed. Todd Cantwell spat his dummy out. He should probably look a bit more carefully where he stands in front of keepers. I mean, whether that was intentional, we don't know. They've signed Kabak. Well, I mean, he's offside and Schmeichel couldn't see it. It's a stupid rule, but it's a rule, and Schmeichel was the first one to tell the ref, who then preferred it to VAR. And the goal got chalked off. Otherwise, we would have been only coming away from Carrow Road with a point. Brandon Williams had an absolute stinker. And these are things that Billy Gilmore put in his shift. And they've got Ben Gibson in. They've brought Rashica from Werder Bremen.
Going back to the game, when Vardy scored, was it the 8th minute?
Yeah.
Did you think you were going to cruise that game then? Were you looking like you were going to cruise it?
I kind of did. And then a minute later, Pierre is on the pitch, like looking like he's kind of come off. And I'm like, this is just made for another defensive calamity because there's no cohesion. There's no cohesion in that defense at all. I mean, you've got Luke Thomas doing as well as he can for such a young kid. Castagna came on and did quite well when Pierre had to go off. We'd have got. I'm worried about scrapping a Man City, to be honest. I mean, we've signed Adam Lukman, and I think that's a very shrewd signing. I mean, everyone's going, oh, well, Gray's better than him. The best season that Gray had for Leicester City was about 3 years ago, where he got 4 goals and 1 assist. Adam Lukman, with 1 season in Fulham in the Premier League, in a struggling side that was battling relegation the whole season, got 4 goals, 4 assists.
Yeah, he's their one creative spark, wasn't he?
Can't take a penalty for shit, but
that's what people remember as well.
Well, Red Bull Leipzig saw enough in him, and he got a few run outs there. But I mean, I just don't think it was for him. I think he wanted to come back to the Premier League, and you got to remember Leicester are also in the Europa League, and they're in a very difficult group. They've got Napoli, Legia Warsaw, Spartak Moscow. That is, I mean, God, I was slagging off the Europa Conference, but God bless the Europa Conference because it's made the Europa League far more entertaining. It's actually now going to be 8 groups of 4, and then you go straight to a last 16. So I mean, Leicester got a chance of winning that if they get out of that group.
Yeah, Lookman can play either side as well. So if you're worried about the performances of Barnes, maybe you can step in there. What is it, Perez on the right for Leicester?
Yeah, but I don't think
if you're talking
Perez again in a Leicester shirt, to be perfectly honest with you, is poor. And Albrighton put in, a typical Albrighton performance. I can't fault him at all. I mean, he doesn't always get his starts, but puts a shift in, that guy.
A bit of an improved performance by Norwich as well. Second half, they maybe looked the better team.
Yeah, they were unlucky not to get a point. Really, I just feel Norwich have missed a trick in getting a striker that can truly support Pukki and take pressure off him. Perfectly honest, and they're just lacking that quality. Yeah, it's going to be a hard season for them. Maybe an easy ride next week, but we'll see.
All right, well, let's move on now. West Ham and Crystal Palace. I actually watched this game live. Really entertaining. West Ham in the first half, they probably should have seen the game out. They had quite a few opportunities, but it was 1-0 after half time. Beautiful little goal between, was it Antonio and who was the other boy? I've got the name of
Ben Rama.
Ben Rama who scored, or Fornells. I think it was Fornells.
Fornells, sorry.
Fornells,
yeah, it was Fornells.
Doing a 1-2 inside the box. Antonio looking really composed. And Fornells made it 1-0 as they went into the break. They came back out and West Ham looked a lot better, looked stronger team. Going down that left side, Zaha crossed one in. Terrible defended by West Ham. And then Conor Gallagher, who's on loan from Chelsea at Crystal Palace, managed to squeeze one past Fabianski. But then, I think it was 10 minutes later, Antonio went straight up the other end and just smacked one.
He'd be good for England, wouldn't he, Antonio?
Yeah, make travel a lot easier as well. So that was 2-1. And then, but Crystal Palace, Clive, you predicted this. You said it was going to be a draw.
Just could see like a bit
Came back, scored.
Well, Crystal Palace
beautiful goal by Conor Gallagher, has to be said as well.
Yeah,
another ball into the box.
Todd Cantwell's able twin, isn't he?
I was going to say a little bit of a Grealish about him, to be honest. Clive turn and then, bottom corner. Poof.
Played a lot in the Chelsea under 23s as well, and for West Brom on loan, Conor Gallagher. So it's good to see him get his chance in the Premier League now.
He's taking it. It looks like he's taking it anyway.
Well, I mean,
he should have scored the weekend before as well when he hit the bar.
He's not known for his goal scoring, so I mean it's a bit of a surprise with him, really. And West Ham, Crystal Palace doing this without Eze, without Alisi. What a signing Edouard is going to be for them, though.
I ain't say that, Clive.
Brighton might have wanted him.
Do you think so? I mean, he wasn't getting in the Celtic team near the end, and that's why apparently Brighton did go for him.
played in the Old Firm on
missed a
Sunday.
sitter, didn't
Missed
he?
an absolute sitter. And I mean, if only for the signing video. I mean, I take the Scottish Premiership with a pinch of salt, but you look at his record in Europe, Europa League 3-6, 4-8.
Well, he's got 57 in 94 appearances in the league for Celtic, which is
in the league.
In the league, it's 23, isn't he? No,
yeah,
For the French under 21s, I think if you look, 17 goals in 14 appearances.
Don't forget,
he's definitely got an eye for goal.
Don't forget,
he's surely worth a punt.
He's a cast off. He's a cast off of many from PSG, and they've had a lot. And for Crystal Palace to have picked him up for £15 million is an absolute snip. And yeah, he will work wonders with that team.
Are those wounds okay, Stefan, with that salt being...
It's frustrating because a year ago we were linked and we didn't go
Leicester City were linked with him as well, and Rodgers would have had he's had a clause in his contract for a while. Rodgers would have known full well what that clause was. They've obviously decided to go for Daka as well. I think it's a case with Edouard is he probably prefers the limelight of being in big cities. Perhaps didn't fancy Leicester so much. Obviously, coming from Paris and playing in Glasgow, I mean, he's adored, right? And his Champions League stats just scream that he could end up at a bigger club in a couple of seasons. So Palace want to make the most of him.
A good point on the road though for Palace, and maybe that's a start, right? That's the monkey off his back for Vieira if he gets a point away. That shows how far West Ham have come when we say you go and get a point at West Ham. What a great result! Yeah, maybe it's a foundation for them to build on.
Yeah, cracking on then. Let's move on. Liverpool, Chelsea, Clive.
I was thoroughly enjoying this game until
talking point.
The referee just decided to ruin it for everybody, and it looked like that Chelsea were going to absolutely, tear Liverpool to shreds. And what an excellent header from Havertz, and Reece James looked like he was going to carry on this form from against Arsenal. The VAR incident for me, I mean, yes, it's a penalty. Yes, it's a yellow card. It's come off his thigh. The rules are clear. If it's deflection off another body part and the hand or the arm isn't in a natural position, it's not a red card. The referee's only looked at a still image. He's clearly been told, find a reason not to send him off. And he's just ruined the game for everybody. It's really sad, really. But there was a moment, I think, around the 60th minute when I think it was Mal got free on the left and was able to get the ball into the box for Lukaku, who managed to hit a volley, and I think it came off Matic, and there was a sudden hush around Anfield then. And that was, I think, when it dawned on a lot of people that even with 10 men, even with Havertz off the pitch, this Chelsea side is to definitely be reckoned with, and they will be up there this season.
Definitely,
there's no doubt about that. And Liverpool want to count themselves lucky that the referee bailed them out, because
it's funny you say that though, because when you talk to Liverpool fans, they see that as drop points. Because obviously against 10 men as well, playing a whole half
without
of football.
The sending off, there's only one winner, really. And
I'm just saying though, with the situation, with the situation.
Oh, I see. They should have gone on kicked on.
Yeah, they should have kicked on. They should have won. They definitely should have won. If you're facing
to Chelsea, right?
Unbelievable defending. And Liverpool, I don't think they had a clear-cut chance, did they, in that second half?
Not at all. No. Chelsea regrouped, didn't they? And you're right, Clive. It did ruin the game, because I was really looking forward to seeing how Lukaku was going to do up against Van Dijk, and we saw glimpses of it, and then we didn't get to see it in the second half because he was pretty much out of the game.
I think we'll see a definite reaction against Aston Villa in that respect for sure. I mean, Liverpool have also only made one signing, Konate from Red Bull Leipzig. They've got Henderson down on a long-term deal, as well as other players. I mean, Chelsea, obviously, we've been speaking about Lukaku. to get Niguez from Atletico Madrid. That's on loan.
Yeah.
That's a great little bit of last minute business.
It is.
And they shifted some wood that needed to get out and off the wage bill an absolute ton, like nearly 2 squads worth. Danny Drinkwater's joined Reading on loan. So there's an interesting one. He's out of contract in 2022, so the gravy train will end for him. Giroud's gone AC Milan. We know my favourite of the lot, Tomori, gone to AC Milan. I just think he's going to an absolute star of a centre back there. I mean, Stones and Harry Maguire did wonders at the Euros, but Tomori, he needs to be pushing Stones if Stones isn't getting in that Man City side, because he's a player.
Yeah, just going back to the business that Chelsea did, they spent £97.5 million, but they sold £135.4 million. So that's a net profit of 37.9 million.
And
Unbelievable.
the B team out as
that
well,
club is so well run. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Well, let's say Gilmore and Conor Gallagher kick on as well. They can either take them back next year or demand a fee again.
Or flog them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
similar to Man City. I think Man City's buyback clause on it in that show's ran out now as well. So talking of buyback clauses.
Mm. Right, well, they actually missed a game, didn't they? Brighton versus Everton.
How could you? I swear you did that to piss me off, I'm sure. So, we spoke about if Connolly was going to start or if it was going to be Maupay. The good news was it was Maupay starting up front for Brighton. So no need for the grannies, Clive. But
there's always time. I hear Steve Bruce is single.
But Solly March was injured day before on the eve of the game. So it meant we had to rejig our fullbacks, which left us with Moder at left back and Webster playing as a right back with Pascal Gross up the right-hand side. And unfortunately, Damari Gray had an absolute field day.
Yeah.
He cut inside and maybe the keeper was at fault, but it was an easy task for him. And you're looking at him at 1.6 million. Is he pound for pound maybe the best sign in the window? I know you're going to say Ronaldo, but really, he was an electrical game. Second half, Brighton tried to change it, brought on Joel Veltman, but played him kind of out of position at left back. And he was caught the wrong side and we gave away a penalty. And then it was real drama because Richarlison tried to take the penalty, grabbed the ball. It was real playground stuff. 2 minutes to go before the end of lunch break. And he's grabbing the ball saying he wants it. Despite the fact
wins.
Exactly. DCL is the designated penalty taker. He scored last week at Leeds. And in the end, Townsend just comes up behind him and just sort of bops the ball out the back and they grab it.
What I really liked about that is that Alan turned to Townsend not long after that and goes, I'll deal with him. And he said whatever he said to him in Portuguese. And then DCL scores and then Richarlison just parades after him to celebrate with the fans.
As if it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's you don't like to see it. I mean, it happened to DCL with England when Henderson wanted to take the penalty against Austria in the friendly. DCL was furious, and he's not going to let that happen again, especially in the Premier League match.
I think Shearer was talking about our match of the day. He said that it happened to him when Newcastle played Sheffield Wednesday, I think. He scored 4. He scored 4 goals on that game, and then a youngster came on for Newcastle. He won a penalty. Said, "Can I take it?" And Shearer was like, "Fuck off, not a chance, mate. See you later."
But as a Brighton fan, I was thinking he's going to miss this. This has unsettled him, so he did well to tuck it away.
Canio and Lampard, same thing happened with them as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that one, that was a good one. It's happened many a time.
But another goal for Calvert-Lewin, and I think he'll probably get more goals than he got last season under Rafa.
He's got a thigh injury now, so they'll have to manage that during the international break. I don't think he's joined up with the England squad.
If they'll bring up a replacement,
I haven't checked, but
Mason Greenwood.
He's definitely Mason Greenwood. Apparently not, and
stay on, kid. Stay on, kid. Rest up.
He's doing well, 3-3. Yeah,
Antonio is now.
And they got Bamford.
But Everton were brilliant.
Yeah.
Everton were absolutely brilliant. As you say, Arran, really good performance. And to be honest, Brighton created nothing in this game. And that's very rare for a Brighton team. Usually we create a lot and don't score, but we had nothing really. So it's bad day at the office. And Everton 7 from 9. So I wonder if those fans are a bit sceptical or a bit angry at the Rafa appointment. Probably a little bit quieter now. Rafa has been...
Would be nice if they stuck a banner outside of his house now and actually said, welcome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Can't see that happening though. Rafa is linked up again with Rondon. So that's the third time.
Great signing.
Is that
absolutely
That's cranky our
brilliant
redknapp,
signing.
isn't it now?
Exactly
Is that what
what
you're
I
just
was
going to
about
say?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just going to follow him around.
That is my second favourite signing of this transfer deadline day. Getting Rondon in on a free. I mean, I could see him getting 5 or 6 goals for Everton, and he's just great foil if you're chasing a game. I think he got something like 11 in one season for Newcastle.
Yeah, he was right at West Brom, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a.
Would you have had him, Stefan, at Brighton?
Absolutely. I said this about a year ago.
He is 31 years
anyone,
old.
Arran?
He is 31 years old. I'll say that. I'll tell you one who did stick out for me in that Everton game, Decore. Boy, he was outstanding.
Yeah, they bossed
absolutely
the midfield.
Outstanding. They've got Damari Gray on the left. They've got Decore the other side. They've got Allen, who's back to his best after that.
He looks great.
Break.
He looks great.
Really
As
good.
a United fan, looking for every single defensive midfielder, Allen
Really
and Basuma were both on that pitch. And
Both
they
played well.
really well, didn't they? Yeah, both played really well. Apparently, we might be backing for Basuma in January.
Well, yeah. Well, Brighton have been busy themselves-ish. We signed a new left back. So Kusarel, it did happen in the end, 15 million, and that looks like a great acquisition. Former
Clive's
Barca,
a big fan, apparently.
Yeah.
I rate this kid.
Comes through the Barca Academy.
Yeah.
A couple of years at Getafe. Turned up at the airport. It was easy to spot him. He's got one of those big Diana Ross USA 94 dudes. So I can see him being.
Let's hope he takes a penalty better than she can.
So yeah, a left back that looks quite promising, and you've got to think Tariq Lamptey's back maybe.
When is he back?
I don't know. I'm a
when
bit
is
worried.
he back?
I'm hearing
it's
bad
ridiculous
things.
now
because it's it's hamstrings.
This Cucurella deal could be because of that.
No, don't say that. I'm heard that he might have to change his game. When you hear things like that, that's horrible. So might rely less on.
He's going to be a jockey. Be a jockey now.
Take up water polo or something.
Yeah. But yeah, so hope, fingers crossed, because I think with them too, and the back three we've got on the goalkeeper, we've got one of the best defenses in the league outside of the top.
Lamptey is a back injury. Is that correct?
Was a back and a hamstring, but now it's hamstrings, and it keeps getting put back again.
He's got a couple of Wilsons down there, has he?
I just worry if this is going to keep happening to be such a young player and relies on his pace. And we can see what he's done. We've seen what he's done last year in that game at home to Man United. He bossed the game.
It was it's been a revelation. Well, it was a revelation.
Yeah, just short.
Not so much anymore. Huh?
But yeah, when he comes back, I think the two flanks for Brighton, that's where we're going to produce more opportunities. But we didn't get the striker, which is a massive loss. If we're talking about Edouard, we've got to hope that that's a flop. Really, we have, because that will be. The fans will be on the board's back if he gets 15 goals for Palace.
Yeah.
Because that's a signing we could have got.
That's a double whammy, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
A signing you could have done well for, goes to your rivals and does great.
In more pay we trust, and then you never know. Aaron Connolly, Danny Welbeck.
He looked great. He looked great against Portugal last time.
Oh, dearie me, yeah.
But what happened to this Darwin Núñez that you were supposed to get from Benfica?
Didn't happen, mate. Just didn't happen, yeah.
But for what reason? Is there any reason behind it?
It was no real. The club never came out and said anything. It was just people close to the club understand that they were in for Núñez. Apparently, they were in for Edouard. He wanted 85k a week. Brighton offered him 65, and in the end, no formal bid was made. So he went to Palace. So Brighton fans were a little bit put out by the fact we didn't get a striker, because the world and his wife knows we need a striker.
Yeah, but
I don't know. Build from the back. We look better than we did last year. If we can get a season out of Morpay. If he can get double figures again, we should be all right. But I think it's a massive missed opportunity. If we had someone to put the ball in the back of the net this season, we could have kicked on.
Do you have a better? I think you just said that you have a better squad than last year. You think that?
You've got to think Basuma's come on a lot. So he's almost looks like a world-class player all of a sudden. The back five we've lost Ben White, but we don't look any weaker for it. Up front, we've got less strikers than we had, but the three that we have, Morpay, Welbeck and Connolly, are pretty much the same. And we've got Wepa in the midfield, so pretty much more or less the same. Only this group of players has another year under Potter, and they look a bit more experienced. So probably we've got a better team than we had last year, I'd say.
Better starting 11?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It picks itself almost. You wouldn't say that last year.
All right. But without Lamptey, fighting relegation?
No. There's three worse, definitely.
I'm joking. So you'll be fine then. All right then. Well, let's move on. Well, let's go to Tottenham now, who faced Watford in the Sunday game, Clive.
I mean, Son just managed to ping in a free kick early on in the first half, and that was kind of Spurs in control there. I mean, it's interesting that Watford scored the least amount of away goals in the Championship last season with 19, and that away form looks like it might be continuing. And what's disappointed me the most is Sarr hasn't really kicked on from the opening day. They don't seem to have a recognised or favourite striker. Dennis was pushed out wide. King was chucked up front. I mean, Watford have got enough to stay in that league. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Harry Kane putting
no doubt about it. You think that
they've got enough to stay in that league? Yeah, I think they've got more capability in terms of squad quality than, say, Norwich. Probably more than Arsenal. Probably more than Newcastle. They're certainly.
It just looks like
staying up there.
It's like a Frankenstein. It's just a mishmash of different players from different leagues.
But you can
might have been good at one point.
Well, I mean, when you've got a bunch of owners that own, is it Getafe and Udinese?
Udine,
yeah, you know, they'll just buy and just rotate people.
It's a conveyor belt of mediocrity, isn't it? With the odd diamond, I think that's the way.
It is. I mean, they're not going to get much of a diamond in terms of Peter Etebo, who they signed from Stoke City, or Matty Pollock from Grimsby. I mean, I do wonder what are they thinking?
It's numbers, signings, isn't it? That's all it seems to be.
It's probably certainly agents as well getting involved in this. I mean, Josh O'Brien not attached, Vincent Adlini just from nowhere. You know, James Morris from Southampton. I mean, just no one's. I mean, Ozan Tufan from Fenerbahce on loans, half decent. Sissoko is probably their best bit of business in this transfer window for Watford. And yeah, if it all goes wrong, then we can all sort of look at how pissed off Danny Rose is again, like he was at Tottenham. So I mean,
he started on the bench, didn't he, in this game? Didn't even
he's probably only going to be a squad player at best, to be perfectly honest. When you've got a squad of about 40 people, then there's going to be a lot of squad players. So
they're all squad players.
From Parma, Kucha got his first start for Watford. He might be a rough diamond in all of that. Decent centre midfielder. Scored, I think, 7 for Parma last season.
Okay, yeah.
So he might be the one that can kind of like a Cambiasso kind of type that Leicester had when they got promoted. I've not seen a lot of him, but I think he might be one to watch, certainly.
On the flip side, though, Spurs keeping Kane.
Kane's great. I mean, it's 1-0 to Tottenham times 3.
New Arsenal.
The new Arsenal. Could they go on and win the league? I mean,
I'll tell you now. Not Clive.
I thought you were going to say Champions League.
People are going to turn off.
But you do look at what Nuno's gone and done there. I mean, he's turned them into a very effective working unit in a similar sort of fashion to how Ranieri did what he did at Leicester, in a sense. And the new director of football has just worked wonders and got deals over the line quicker than Levy ever has. I mean, we're yet to see the best of Brian Hill. I think Romero's joined Argentina for the World Cup qualifiers. And Villa have actually, as we've been on air, just released a statement saying that they're absolutely furious that Martinez has joined them and will stay for the third game.
What a mess! Seriously,
yeah. And they signed Royale from Barcelona.
Yeah, right.
And he's gonna give Tanganga some serious competition. And we all know how Nuno loves his wing back. So I mean, they
cancelled Serge Aurier's contract as well, correct? So that I mean, they needed to get rid of. I think they have 4 right backs, didn't they? Before they did that, got Mac Doherty as well.
Yeah. So I mean, they've done a.
But Clive, I'm sorry. In terms of winning the league, mate. In terms of winning the league,
outsiders. The best.
There's 4 above them. 4 above them.
Would you say after this transfer window, would either of you say that Liverpool have a better chance to win the league than Tottenham? I will put them on a par.
Well, in terms of looking at the window, in terms of squad depth, I'm confused by the
squad
question.
Depth. Squad depth.
Liverpool.
with their commitments to the Champions League as well.
Yeah.
I mean, let's
definitely.
be perfectly honest. Spurs aren't going to be playing any of their first team players in the Europa Conference. They won't have Tuesday to Saturday, Wednesday to Saturday, Thursday to Sunday commitments.
So would you say that? How can I word this? Let's just say Tottenham will finish top 4 above Liverpool. Do you think that's a battle for top 4, Tottenham and Liverpool?
Yeah, I think Tottenham and Liverpool have got a chance. To be honest with you, I'm not that very confident of Leicester's chances of top 4 at all this season. Top 6 maybe. Top 6.
When you look
top
at the
4.
others,
top 4 no.
You think Man United are a much stronger outfit than they were at the end of last season. City have bought Grealish. Chelsea look chalk and cheese to what they were last year. And Spurs, a good window for them is basically keeping hold of people. So I don't necessarily see where they've kicked on.
They have bought the defender though. That was
Brian Hill will.
I was talking about Romero.
Romero. Sorry, Brian Hill as well. They'll act like an engine in that midfield for them. You know, they'll be pretty decent.
Did he play against Watford?
No. Did he make his
debut? He played midweek, didn't he?
Played midweek. Yeah, but that was against.
How do you say it, Clive?
Hill.
No, who they played against?
Oh, Paco de Ferreira.
Beautiful. But yeah, solid window for Spurs, but winning the league, mate. No, I'm sorry. That's that's over the line.
After
Chelsea,
might be a booking. Win anything with Hill.
After Chelsea,
a lot of fans are calling for VAR after that.
After Chelsea, Man City, United, Spurs are on a par with Liverpool to win the league.
They're certainly looking a lot better.
Could you see Liverpool winning the league?
No.
No,
but but they're going to get close, no?
I don't.
I'd say by the end of the season, I've kind of revised it a bit with my prediction where Spurs will finish because
where are Liverpool weak? Midfield,
depth, not necessarily the first 11. But it's a long season.
Midfield, defense.
They've got 4 really good centre backs now, haven't they?
Happens to Van Dijk again. I don't see a like replacement there, which is understandable.
Konate, no.
They're going to lose. They're going to lose Salah. They're going to lose Mane during the African Nations Cup.
Forgot about that. Good point.
Liverpool aren't going to win the league this season. It's that simple.
This is 2 years that they haven't invested as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Transfer deadline day. What did they do again? Contract extension to Jordan Henderson instead of a player.
It's like a new signing, isn't it?
Ridiculous. Yeah. So transparent. But anyway, all right. Shall we move on then?
Yeah.
Let's go to Burnley and Leeds, Stefan.
Yeah, tough, hard-fought draw. Wasn't a great game. Leeds switched to a back 3 to mitigate the top 2 of Woods and Barnes, I think. Game didn't really peak if you watched it. Chris Wood got a scrappy goal, sort of a deflection. I don't know if Melier was wrong-sighted, but he seemed a bit at fault. But again, Burnley can't seem to defend a lead. Same against Brighton. And a few minutes later, sort of a similar goal for Patrick Bamford. And we said he might. It's just the way these things work when you get an England call-up. You go and get a goal, and that's what happened. They've been quite busy this week, haven't they? With the signing of Dan James, the second time they've tried to sign him. For £30 million. As a Man United fan, you're probably quite happy with that, right? Getting a fee.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah, so happy.
Yeah,
I can't believe we got 30 million for him, honestly. I like Dan James. I've got nothing against him. I think he's always worked his socks off for United. I just don't think is top 4 quality. If I'm being harsh, I think. But
it's like a lot United player, is he?
I don't. Yeah, anyone in that top 4. Maybe even Tottenham, if we're going to count them as 5th. I don't think he'd get in any of them their teams as well. But at Leeds, yeah, I think he'll be. Thing is, though, I was just about to say the same thing. Jack Harrison's left, right? On the left. Yeah. Then you got Rafinha, who's a brilliant player on the right.
He's a player, maybe they're alluding to squad depth there, right? We say Leeds maybe don't have that squad depth. I know that.
Like we're saying, he's not a shoo-in as being to be a starter, is he? Even though he's gone there for 30 million.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't even play him at wing back, would you? Because you've got Luke Ayling there, and it's probably not getting the best out of him. So it's interesting business. I wonder after this start whether Leeds fans might have adjusted their expectations. We said they're mid-table last year, whether they were kicking on for Europe or, as we said, 7th or 8th place. I wonder now, maybe they'll be happy. It's always difficult if you're Bielsa. You've been playing under a Bielsa team like Leeds, and they've seen progression every year. They've seen playoffs and then champions, and then a mid-table start, and now maybe you start to see your team stagnate. But I wonder now whether a season similar to last year is a success for Leeds, really.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah,
I
think that'd be
right.
fine. I think they'd be happy with that, wouldn't they? I mean,
I think they love Bielsa anyway. So wherever they finish in the
Yeah,
Premier
I mean,
League,
I
they'll
think
be celebrating. So
Bielsa admits himself, doesn't he, that he gets obsessed with players that he wants to sign, and I think Daniel James was one of them. And I think to a certain extent that does hinder them a little bit, because there are areas. I mean, I watched that Leeds Burnley game; it was turgid football to eyes, awful. And there was just no creativity from both sides. The highlight for me was Ashley Barnes poleaxing Dallas, I think, early on in the first half. And, I mean, Burnley did all right. I mean, against mid-table sides at home, Burnley, that form will be crucial as to whether they stay up or go down or not. So, yeah, I mean, we've not seen the best of Firpo yet, who they signed from Barcelona. He was on loan at Real Betis, I think, before that. And
COVID, I think. It was COVID issue. I think so.
Yeah, there is a COVID issue. Klitsch are out as well. So they've got to be careful. A lot of Premier League clubs have also been reporting that a lot of players don't want the vaccine. And that's going to be problematic as well for some teams.
Yeah, Burnley signed a player this week, and they left back. He spent 13 million on
Maxwell Cornell. Yeah, signed for Umbro FC.
Thing is,
you see that?
He gave amazing. You can actually do that right now, Steph. You both can. You can both do that. Yeah, there you go. It's actually got. If you say his name, how it's spelled, his name is Max Cornet, which sounds very much like he's from Burnley.
Max Cornet.
Max Cornet.
Yeah.
Left back.
But
He'll do
can
great.
he do a knee slide? That's
what we want to see. Yeah. And will he fit in with that Brexit ball style of play from Sean Dyche? I don't know.
Sean Dyche shares his house with Ian Wone, which I find worrying.
I hope he's not his bed as well.
Well,
if he does, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, fine.
To the extent, and
rainbow laces on my feet.
Have they now got a spare room they've rented out to Steve Stone? I mean, that house, that house, analytical central.
That's a big brother waiting to happen.
It is, isn't it? I'd love to be a fly on the wall in there. I mean, I bet they get really off of themselves on a Thursday night, down the offie, 4 cans of Foster's watching Wickham against Cheltenham. And the next big lump they can sign up front just to hoof it up to. I'd love a night round Dyche's house. It'd be fantastic.
Is that true? Where's Dyche's wife in this?
It's genuine. I'm not making this up. Genuinely true. Sean Dyche and Ian Wone share a house. They have a house share. Let's have a house share.
Wow. Okay.
That's news for me. But yeah, I was looking at this Cornet. He's been playing at Lyon. This would have been his 8th year, and 40 games a season. Looks like a bit of a shrewd signing from Burnley. Not a Burnley-esque.
No, that's what I mean.
Does
he know where Burnley is?
No idea. Doesn't even know where the badge is. Have they signed anyone else, Burnley? Or is that it?
They did, yeah. They started at the start of the window. Is it Collins?
Oh, the Stoke. Yeah, they sent it back from Stoke.
I mean, as I said, Liverpool last week, they lined up 1 to 11.
Oh, sorry. They also signed a right back, Connor Roberts, I believe, as well.
Aaron Lennon's rejoined.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Big signing.
It'll be in the attic.
It'll be in the garage.
Know what's happening, but you know what you get.
Spoiling it for the shed, maybe.
You fit in there quite with relative ease, and he still looks just as bloody miserable as when he signed for Everton. So, I mean, it's like
he's at Burnley.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the same old crap that basically is the likes of Newcastle have been signed. Collins from Stoke, Helm, Man United. Have you heard of Helm?
No.
Mark Helm, Jacob Wado from Scunthorpe. There's evidence to the fact that's what Dyche and Ian Wone get up on Thursday night.
Get the TV on.
Your turn to go to the offie or mine. Joe Wesley from Fulham. Connor Robertson.
Egg and chips tonight, isn't it?
More husky. Yeah, so there we go. That's Burnley.
In a nutshell, boys and girls.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. Last game of the weekend was Wolves against Man United. We, United, were very, very, very lucky.
Daylight robbery. Stripy jumper job, this one. Absolutely.
No, seriously, yeah, we were very lucky, incredibly lucky. First half, Wolves should have bagged 3 goals. Arran Wan-Bissaka off the line against Trincao. What else happened in that game?
Well, it wasn't many United chances.
Daniel James absolutely poleaxing Trincao.
I think he was off the pitch. I think he was off the pitch when that happened.
No, it was still in play.
That's why we sold him, I think. It's not a responsibility anymore.
For me in the first half hour was Pogba just absolutely lambasting Fred because Pogba was having to do his job for most of the game, which restricted him.
You know, a lot of people said Pogba played well. I thought it was terrible. I thought he was giving the ball away every opportunity. He's not a holding midfield, correct?
Yeah, playing out of position, isn't he?
Yeah, he's out of position. But people want us to play because we've got Bruno and Pogba. To be honest, they're both attacking midfielders. They want us to play with one defensive midfielder, one holding player. That's difficult for any team to do that. Most teams will have two holding midfielders, or at least someone like Jorginho who's going to stay in position.
Dare I say it, but this Ronaldo signing isn't exactly going to help United's holding midfield.
No, it won't. It will help us score a lot of goals.
Yeah, I wonder if Ruben Neves would have been a better signing, to be absolutely honest. I think you've signed the wrong Portuguese player. A player there that started the season well. He's used to the Premier League.
Nothing about wrong. We signed Ronaldo.
What, you've signed Ronaldo,
but it's not in the expense of someone else, though. We didn't sign Ronaldo when we could have had the opportunity to sign Basuma.
No, it's basically right. You split
Stefan, you're saying it like we had the opportunity to sign a defensive midfield player, but instead we signed Ronaldo. We should have
spent 20 million on Ronaldo and his wages.
2.5 million over 5 years. We've spent 2.5 million.
So for 30 million, you could have got a defensive midfielder there.
But we still could have paid that money and got another defensive midfielder in. We have the money to do that. But we decided against it. People think that we're waiting for Rice next season.
Possibly. But I think
Basuma in January.
Go for Rice. But yeah, I don't know.
Going back to the game anyway. So Jimenez, he missed he looked at Adama Traore went.
Oh, if he could finish,
that pace is unbelievable. Blistering pace past Fred and Pogba, like they weren't even there.
Yeah.
Then he slotted it nicely to Jimenez, and Jimenez, this bad
player.
Form continues, and he just.
It's not bad form. He's getting in the right positions. He's just been unlucky in front of goal. I mean, they've got
it straight to David De Gea. I feel like a couple of seasons ago that would have been the far
corner.
Well,
definitely. He's got a cracking set of fixtures coming up there at home.
I was going to say a cracking score then. I thought that was out of order.
Oh. They're away at Watford, and they've got Brentford, and then they've got a good set of fixtures. After that, then they've got Southampton. So there's games there.
That's 3 games.
See Jimenez possibly getting some returns, to be perfectly honest with you.
That's 3 games for Wolves, right? Where they've sort of looked the better team in all 3. So you think Leicester, Spurs, they can't finish. It's in danger of turning into the Brighton of last year, where they create a lot and don't finish.
There's an argument with this Ronaldo signing. I mean, I didn't see Bruno Fernandes do much at all in this game. That's 2 games in a row now. He was absent during Southampton. Didn't really see much creativity from him against Wolves. And it does beg the question: is one of the casualties from this Ronaldo signing going to be Bruno Fernandes? Because it's certainly not going to be Mason Greenwood in the form he's in.
No, well, Bruno will be playing in behind, definitely. Bruno won't be dropped. Wait,
just can't. United are going to be like the Newcastle team back in '96, where they're going to score. One team will score 4 and they'll end up scoring 5. It's going to be great football to watch.
Yeah.
Ronaldo's probably going to end up getting goal of the season against Burnley or Watford. But in terms of what he brings to the club,
wait a minute. We haven't got Darren Peacock and Steve Howie at the back. We've got Varane and Maguire. Surely,
in terms of your centre midfield.
Yes, that's the worrying thing. There's worrying signs.
People overlook McTominay. They really do. I know Fred gets more stick than he deserves. He isn't a great player. Definitely not a great player, but he's a decent squad player to have. He got the run around against Wolves. Yeah, but he's performed very well in other games. Look at Leeds. Played really well. Didn't play well against Southampton. Second half he did okay, but anyway, yeah. Wolves should have won. Second half, Traore again went through, crossed it again to Trincao, who didn't even get it on target, I don't think. And then, Greenwood to the rescue. I mean, what a player.
What a player.
Should that goal have stood?
Which one?
Well, it was very controversial, wasn't it, for Pogba's high challenge on Neves?
Oh, no, it was a free kick. It was a free kick.
But was it Neves' delayed reaction that made the referee think
I don't know. If that would have happened to United, I would have been furious. He definitely caught. I know it caught his shin pad. I don't think it caught his leg. Never's reaction was ridiculous. But still, it was studs up. It was a free kick.
Yeah.
We were very, very lucky. Greenwood got us out of the crap. Definitely. I mean, he looked fantastic. He was our best player all day, and especially in front of goal. Sancho started, didn't look particularly great. Varane looked very assured. Looked really good.
Yeah,
I mean, De Gea save, seriously.
Dave save.
Double save.
Unbelievable.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic, wasn't he?
That's a plus. That he's
going to struggle to get back into that side.
Who is Henderson?
Henderson, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Henderson's a great keeper, but I mean...
It seems like Solskjaer's sticking with De Gea. It really does. It's like he's come out and said he's like the best keeper in the world, and he's gonna start with De Gea. But last season, that wasn't the case. Henderson was starting in the league, and De Gea was playing in the Champions League.
Henderson was threatening to leave. That was probably why.
Yeah. But yeah, we daylight robbery. Yeah, probably. If I'm being honest, Wolves deserve to get something from this game, if not win it. But
definitely,
yeah. Greenwood. Look, there was a moment in the second half where he went past. Who's the guy at Wolves? What's he called? The centre back. The
centre back, Cody.
Cody went past Cody like he wasn't even there. Just couldn't find anyone in the box. But then the goal. As soon as he gets the ball, United fans they're up because we know that left peg that he's got, or even his right foot, evident with the goal, he's going to hit the target or close to every time.
So what's his best position right now?
For me, right now, probably on the right.
Okay, yeah.
Of a three. I don't think he's ready to be up top on his own. I actually think it's a little bit of a waste to put him up top on his own because he's
back to goal.
Because he's back to goal. He's not quite there yet. I think one day he will be, definitely.
Well, but he's not going to be playing up there now anyway, is he?
Well, he's not, but he will be learning from the best, probably the best ever. So I'm not too concerned about that. So we've got Greenwood and Sancho to compete on the right, or Sancho can play on the left, and then we've got Rashford, and we've even got Martial who can throw in there sometimes, and we've got Cavani and Ronaldo who can go up top. So yeah, up top we are loaded now. We are loaded. I did actually say that I think in terms of squad depth, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and City might be the strongest they've ever been in the Premier League.
Yeah,
might be in terms of squad, and I think Liverpool. Well, I know Liverpool and City have got the best
squad
two.
depth. Surely pertains to having 2 or 3 good players in each position.
Yeah, and that's what I'm alluding to. Yeah, I'm not saying we've got the best starting 11s, but in terms of squad depth, because I think obviously the Premier League is the strongest it's ever been.
Yeah,
so you've also got look at Liverpool, the best man, possibly the best manager they've had in the league. You'd go with that, right?
Yeah.
And then Chelsea, I think it could be arguable that Tuchel could be or become one of the best Chelsea managers.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, that is
one European Cup, isn't it? In the
first machine he's created there. They don't see goals.
And obviously with Pep, goes without saying, the best manager they've ever
had.
I was just going to say earlier, that's how exciting it is at the moment. How difficult
Are we starting to see the end of Pep roulette a little bit? I mean, time will tell when the Champions League kicks in. But I just for him to field the same side, I mean, that seems like his favourite 11 at the moment. Mahrez and Sterling, they're not even getting a look in. You know, I mean, and Stones is on the bench for him. And it was a bit of a pleasure really to sort of see a little bit of the logic that Pep does have and how much he does value some of these players that he's got. Kevin De Bruyne obviously is injured at the moment, so that's a factor.
Yeah, Foden,
yeah,
Foden as well.
Change a few things.
But it was, yeah. I think it's a concern for Man City that Kevin De Bruyne keeps picking up these ankle injuries. So I mean, that might be one to watch as well in terms of is it a potential, not in terms of quality that he can deliver, but he's 30 now, Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, is he going to potentially go down the same role as Leroy Sané? And perhaps be sort of rendered services no longer required. So that'll be an interesting one to see when his contract runs out.
Yeah, in terms of transfer window, United though, incredible. I mean,
really?
Yes, we didn't get a defensive midfielder. I know that, and it is a little bit frustrating. But if you would have told me that at the end of the last season that we're going to bring in Varane, we're going to bring in Sancho, and we're going to bring in Ronaldo, and we're going to bring in Tom Heaton.
Well, it's the Ronaldo signing.
Incredible.
it's a bit like splitting up with your wife, and then 10 years later she's going to marry your brother, so you just marry her again. I mean, there's like
what soaps have you been watching?
I mean, it's appalling, really, in that sense that he's been playing at Juventus for the last 4 years. They haven't won the league. They've not really done that well in the Champions League. Before he was at Juventus, they won the league, I think, about 4 or 5 times. Yes, he will score a lot of goals for United. He doesn't press. He's down in the bottom 5% of pressing stats in Serie A last season. Obviously, United haven't bought him for that. They've bought him to just put the ball in the back of the net, and he will do that. I just question whether he will do that in Champions League games against the likes of Bayern Munich, against the likes of maybe PSG, in the league against Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City. Has he still got that touch of class that where he can do it? Is he going to be playing midweek, weekend, week in, week out?
Well,
possibly.
You said, Arran, that he'd want to play every week, and I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to be able to drop him.
At the sacrifice of who? This is the thing. United have started really well this season. Is it going to be for Greenwood? Is it going to be for Sancho? Is it going to be Bruno Fernandes? Who loses out in that? Because whoever does lose out in that is going to be pretty pissed off. I doubt very much it's going to be Sancho because they paid so much money for him. I just have this feeling that Bruno could be the biggest casualty of this signing. Well, and they don't particularly play well together for Portugal.
You have to remember, at Wolves, we played Dan James on the left, right? Sancho on the right. Dan James is gone now, which means that someone can play on the left, Greenwood can play on the right, and Ronaldo plays up top. And obviously on the left-hand side, Sancho, Rashford's coming back. We've got options. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it does give options.
It's a great
options going forward. Tickets for the game against Newcastle are now going for £1,000 a pop.
Really? I believe it.
And
apparently the stock price.
Yeah, 7%.
200 million added to United's value by the signing of Ronaldo.
Tried to move the game, but they can't because of the international break. They can't move it to a Friday. They can't move it to.
It's not going to be televised, is it?
That's great.
They can't
cheers me up. That
they can't move it to a late kickoff. They can't move it to a late kickoff on a Saturday. They can't move it to Sunday because Man United are playing young boys of Burn in the Champions League on Tuesday.
Shouldn't be able to move it though. Really, should they? Newcastle fans would have booked stuff.
There's no early game on Sunday. They wanted to move it to the early kickoff Sunday. It's just impossible.
I don't. Is it all positive, this Ronaldo move, Arran?
Yeah. Well, look, listen.
Because last week it was a bad signing for City.
I said it's a bad signing for City. It's a bad signing for City. I didn't say it was a bad signing for United, though.
So City, who need a striker, is a bad signing for them. United, who've already got 2, it's a great signing.
Yeah.
All right.
Because City haven't got him. I mean, it's a
bad signing for City because it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. You didn't want to go there in the first place. Let's face it.
What was he ever going?
Him and Pep would have clashed.
It's not a Pep signing. They don't sign players over 30.
Exactly. It wouldn't have worked.
Has his agent just played this? Has he flirted with Man City and then flushed Man United?
Possibly.
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
Almost certainly.
It was beautifully played. It was beautifully
played. Alex Ferguson spent hours on the phone with him to persuade him to come back to Man United.
Yeah. It's probably only saying like 1 or 2 sentences. You just had to repeat it.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
It ticks a lot of boxes to the Glazers as well. It keeps their fans off the back. You know,
the thing is,
and it pays for itself, so it makes very much commercial sense.
Yeah. If he went to City, this is like it's a Marmite situation. If he goes to City, United fans are depressed. We hate the Glazers. We're frustrated with Solskjaer. Everything's bleak, right? We sign Ronaldo. Everything's amazing.
And the Glazers forgotten.
The Glazers haven't been mentioned for the meantime.
Will they be?
No, but we still hate the Glazers. We still hate the Glazers, though. But I'm just saying, momentarily, we feel great, and it is romantic. Now, remember, you remember Messi, another one of the greatest players of all time, one of the 2, went to PSG, a club, one of the richest club in the world, alongside City. If Ronaldo would have gone to City, the second or the joint richest club in the world, that would have been awful for football. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So do you not think that him coming back to United is a bit more romantic? The fact that he actually wants to come back to the club that he loves instead of going to City for the money. isn't that a good thing for football?
There is a
in
certain
general?
romance about it.
Of course,
it would
it's a
have been
huge
weird to
it
romance.
is,
Yeah, for sure.
see him in a Man City shirt, but I mean,
But I'm just saying, as a football fan, do you not find it
I
romantic?
get it, yeah.
Find a little bit of, what's the right word? Like
Nostalgia and
belief. The fact that players, they're
yeah,
mercenaries.
money isn't
they are
always the
mercenaries,
ultimate.
but there is still some. There is a player out there who still wants to go back to a club who hasn't been doing very well in the last few seasons because he had such an amazing time there that built his career. I mean, surely football fans can appreciate that in general, and
Yeah,
it made for great telly as well.
Well, I mean,
it was like watching a game of Championship Manager play itself out. It doesn't seem real that this has happened.
That press conference, I was watching that Solskjaer press conference, and I was actually hoping. I knew the journalists were going to ask the question, but I was actually hoping, go on, just say it, just say that. And he did. He said that, and as soon as that press conference started, and he started talking about how Ronaldo's the best player ever, that like he wasn't saying that we wanted it. He was like, hang on a minute.
It wasn't just
all of a sudden,
what he said, though, was it? It was like,
we've been in contact. Bruno's been in contact.
No,
with a little twinkle in his eye.
He did it with also a twinkle in his eye and a wry smile. He was like, the deal for Ronaldo going to Manchester City is way, way, way off.
Yeah.
And he knew. And then you got Rio Ferdinand chipping in on Twitter, nodding and smiling.
Yeah.
And then Pep very downbeat about it in his press conference. And you kind of like knew.
Didn't he say Ronaldo goes where Ronaldo wants to go? Something like that.
Something like that.
But I mean, City missing out on Messi, Ronaldo.
They were never really in for Messi, I don't think.
They weren't, but they should have been.
That was last year, really, wasn't it?
But even this year, as soon as they heard that the Barcelona thing wasn't going to repair itself, if they would have had the opportunity again, they probably would have gone back in for him, right? You would have thought.
Well, they clearly thought they were getting Kane, didn't they?
Clearly, yeah.
This will resurface itself again next summer, probably.
Do you think after the transfer window we have had, that Chelsea, even though I did put City as favourites because I really thought they were going to get Kane, I was switching, but when I made a prediction, I thought City would get Kane. Do you think that Chelsea, I don't want to say have won the window, but do you think that they should be favourites now for the title?
Definitely. From what we've seen from the first 3 games as well. They've signed what they needed to sign, haven't they? And they have strength in depth all over the place. You just talk about they've signed Sol Niguez and they've got Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic there as well, and even somebody like Loftus-Cheek in the reserves. Yeah, they've done what. So Man City haven't got a striker. Man United haven't got a central midfielder. Liverpool haven't got anyone, and they're the title rivals. So for me, I don't know. I almost feel it could be quite comfortable for Chelsea even this year.
We'll go far to say comfortable, but I think Lukaku will win the Golden Boot. If you've got someone who's going to win the Golden Boot for you, then you've got a cracking.
I'm going to go Ronaldo.
And then Ronaldo's not going to win the Golden Boot.
He's going to get a lot of goals, though, isn't he?
Why not? Why is he not going to get the Golden Boot?
Because
he scored more goals than Lukaku in Serie A last season. Just throwing that one out there.
Did, to be fair. All right, I'll stand corrected at the end of the season.
Don't write off that boy or that man or that old man. I'm going to say Ronaldo, Golden Boot, Luke Shaw, most assists, whipping in from that left back area to Ronaldo's head. But yeah, overall, amazing transfer window. I mean, if you look outside of the Premier League as well, with Messi and Griezmann going back to Atletico Madrid on loan, that is a bizarre one. Barcelona, talk about being in the shit. I mean, buying Griezmann for what, around 120 million euros or something, and then loaning him back.
And then you say Aguero's out as well, right?
Aguero's out for 10 weeks.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and then what was going on with Mbappe?
I don't know what's crazier, the fact that they put in the bid or the fact they didn't accept it.
Oh, but there's a story behind that, though, isn't there? I mean, I don't think Real Madrid had any intention of signing him for any kind of fee. I think they know full well that he's out of contract at the end of the season.
Posturing, right?
Well, yes. Yeah. And they'll be like, we really want you. We showed we really wanted you. We couldn't get the deal done. Trust me, Real Madrid wanted to get that deal done, then they got it done. And
why did he say that, though? Why did he say that?
Because I think they Mbappe's agency's dad. I think they just want to show that there's the want for him, which is why they put the bids in that they did. The owners of PSG don't need the money. I mean,
they don't need the money, but at the same time,
they also have
180 million euros.
They have a great opportunity with the likes of Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi in that side to finally win the Champions League.
That's That was.
So,
Do you think that was purely the decision for not
purely the
selling him?
decision.
Was the
Because
Champions League?
losing
Yeah,
Mbappe,
I agree.
losing Mbappe, pretty much you can kiss goodbye to Champions League, and you'd probably be kissing goodbye to it, and Real Madrid, and handing it almost over to Real Madrid, because Vinicius for Real Madrid this season looks an absolute player, and it'll be a joy to watch them probably together with Haaland next season.
All right, well, let's move away from top four. Is there any other clubs in the Premier League you think have had a really good transfer window?
I'd actually say West Ham on the basis of this week. So I think looking at that Palace game, is it Dawson? He looked really, really poor for one of the goals. And we said they've got a bit of a soft centre at centre back. So getting Zuma in is a great signing. They've also signed another Czech lad, Kral, is it?
Yes.
Kral,
And Vlasic.
On loan, and they signed Vlasic as well.
Yeah, exactly. Ex-Everton, right? And he'll link up with Koval and Souček. So David Moyes has got a good record at signing Czech players. I still feel that Jesse Lingard should have gone somewhere.
I do as well.
He's not going to go anywhere. We saw how good he was last year. He nearly got himself in the European Championship squad, right? So I don't really see who wins out of keeping him at Old Trafford. He's not going to play.
If he's pushed to stay, he's made a mistake. He really has, and that's not because I dislike Lingard. You just look at the players in front of him.
Oh, now
look at last weekend against Wolves. We needed a goal, and we didn't even think about bringing him on.
Yeah, exactly.
So when is he going to play? EFL
any
Cup,
mid-table team
at home to Norwich.
Yeah.
He's not going to progress. Like you said, any mid-table team.
Great sign.
Everton, Norwich, Arsenal, maybe even would love to have him. I think he's missed a trick there, and I think it won't be this season, probably next transfer window, maybe even January. Because he's not going to get game time. He's not. He really isn't. And it's gonna be one of those situations where when he does come on, he's going to be so desperate to prove himself that he's going to make errors.
Yeah.
So I feel a little bit bad for Lingard. I admire his the fact that he wants to stay with the club that he loves.
He loves the club, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he loves Ronaldo, big Ronaldo fan.
Yeah,
but
not sure how often he's going to play with him.
Exactly. Well, every day in training. Headers and volleys. But it's the World Cup next year, isn't it?
Yeah.
And, game time is a must for Southgate if you want to get in that squad.
Well, it seems like the only game time he's going to get is for England right now. He's in the squad.
Apart from, Greenwood should have been in. But anyway, I'd probably look at Villa. I mean, I've mentioned them already, but I think, signing the players and then that they have done, and then selling Grealish was a masterclass by Villa. I thought they did really well. And even coming out, the chief exec and talking about the Grealish deal in the manner that it did. If they can put it together on the pitch, then I think Villa have had a fantastic transfer window. Clive, any thoughts on that?
I think Villa have had a great window. I think Everton have had a decent window.
That's true.
As well, to be honest, with the players they signed.
I've underrated Everton. I was saying because of the window that they had, they brought in Damari Gray and Townsend. But honestly, right, Townsend is probably better than Dan James.
Yeah.
More in product, isn't it?
Exactly. So, and the simplicity
there's
of the football that Benitez wants to play, crossing it to DCL, I think that's good. I think
any manager in the Premier League that can get the best out of Dan James is Bielsa.
People say that. People keep saying that. We'll see. I don't know if he can turn him into a better player, though. But, we'll see. Time will tell, I guess.
Just a highlight back in Europe. Barcelona letting Antonio Griezmann go back on loan to Atletico Madrid, probably one of their main rivals for the title, and then signing Luke de Jong from Sevilla. I mean, if ever a club's being run into the ground, I mean, it's unthinkable to even mention. Could Barcelona go? I mean, they're not going to get relegated or anything like that, but I mean, they're over like 1.3 billion euros in debt. How are they going to get out of that? I mean, that is a story just waiting to unfold there, and we'll see.
Yeah, but again, as a United fan, to have Ronaldo back, incredible. He's going to be cooking defenders like a pound of bacon this season, Clive. You will see. Yeah. Golden Boot, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, I'm going with the
Clive, Stefan, Golden Boot. You might as well throw a name in the hat.
Harry Kane.
All right, there we are. We've got a different one.
I like that. All All right, we'll leave it on that. We'll leave it there then. Boys and girls, thank you for joining
Lovely.
us. And
Cheers.
we'll see you next time on Halftime Oranges. Bye bye.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.